People like Mal O'Brien at this point were doing at the age of 15. You're 10 plus years older than that. There's a 13-year-old who can do 100 air squats unbroken. Yo, the year is 2017, and unlike the video yesterday where I talked about the time where CrossFit had ruined everything, I'm going to talk about a time where I think CrossFit did the best thing ever, and that is they removed the barbell from the regional workouts. That was totally misconstrued, and I've gone into this a little bit when it comes to going to local competitions, and I call them the power output games. You have barbells, like every affiliate has barbells, and it's something that's easy. Load it up, do this, do that. It's got an assault bike on workout 1, a rower on workout number 2, a dick load of wall balls on workout number 3, a 10 rep max clean and jerk for workout number 4, and then a vertical jump on workout number 5. All of a sudden you're like, how in the fuck is somebody supposed to really take out someone that looks like fucking Saquon Barkley over there? You're not, because that athlete was born to win that set of workouts. On the other end of the spectrum, if you were to go to an affiliate and they were to do a 10-minute AMRAP of burpees, a 10-minute AMRAP of air squats, a 10-minute AMRAP of muscle-ups, and a 10-minute AMRAP of toes to bar, there's no way that Saquon Barkley is going to beat somebody like Cody Anderson. It's just not going to freaking happen. Which brings me to the 2017 regionals. Those workouts are released and there's no barbell. And if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, you look at those and you go, it's made for small, shrimpy little people. Like, the smaller person is totally going to dominate the biggest person. At the end of the weekend, you'll remember that Sam Dancer, I believe, set the world record on that 6th workout. Started off with the bike, it had the burpee box jump overs, and then it had the sandbag cleans. And then someone that I know rather closely, who actually made the CrossFit Games year through the CrossFit Mayhem Classic, Luke Schaefer, I think that took him out of contention for a CrossFit Games spot. He's strong, but he's no Sam Dancer, and he was exposed on that sandbag right at the end of the workout. Which brings me to the reason that I'm doing this air squat thing. So at some point I'll plug in this air squat thing. I want to make this video about 10 minutes long. I'm doing a 10-minute AMRAP of air squats, the goal of which was for me to not move my feet the entire time, try to keep myself going at a good pace. And I actually have no idea how many squats I did because I've tried to keep count, but then I just wanted to keep the intention of continuous movement in play. I think it was 328, but I'll double check that as I'm editing this video. Yeah, I'm gonna count 10 minutes air squats, whoop-de-doo. If I had this little YouTube channel in 2017, I would have said this. It'd be like, this is so freaking cool. This would have been also at a time in which everyone was losing their mind. Where's the barbell? There's no barbell. How come there's no barbell? What are we gonna do? CrossFit's only for small people. And the only way that I could put this into any sort of perspective and relativity is through an interaction that I had at my affiliate. Rewind to Wadapalooza. I had a team that had gone there, and I had a team that when they arrived back home, all I could hear and had heard a handful of times is how there was a workout where there was 100 air squats in the middle, and they had done the air squats unbroken. There was 100 of them. 100 air squats unbroken. 100 air squats unbroken. It was in the middle of the workout, so it's not easy.
Is that what you think? You think?
They were synchronized, but it's one athlete in particular that I just wouldn't let off the hook with this. Is this athlete wanted to be part of the regional team. And every chance that I got, I had to let this athlete know that that was nothing to be proud of. You sound like a freaking dick, Andrew. It's like, yeah, but I had to let this athlete know. There was always pushback because at that point in time, and to this day, one of my best movements are body weight movements. Go do a bunch of burpees, go do a bunch of toes to bar, go do a bunch of chest to bar. Andrew, you can do 35 unbroken ring muscle ups. Like, you don't know what it's fucking like. Yeah, I know, but this is also the sport of fitness. If you ever listen to what the best in the sport do, it's what they're not so good at in relation to what everybody else can do. And if you were to poll 100 separate regional level athletes and say, hey, can you do 100 air squats unbroken? 100% of them would say yes. And then if there were to be a follow-up question, which is how fast can you do it, they'd go, how fast do you want me to do it? Under 2 minutes? I'll try. And they would just sprint their freaking asses off until they got as close as they could to 2 minutes. And then you know what? They'd rest 5 minutes and do it again. They'd rest 2 minutes and do it again because 100 unbroken air squats was nothing crazy, especially at that point in time where the field was getting extremely, extremely competitive. And why am I telling you this story? This same athlete that thought that the 100 air squats unbroken was something to be applauded for and crazy good is also the athlete that was the most vocal about the lack of barbell in this subset of workouts at the regionals. Of course, this athlete was a bigger and stronger athlete, and at which rate the barbell was a position in which separation could be had. You know that if there was that barbell and there was a clean and jerk or some sort of a complex or a snatch or a heavy deadlift, back squat, whatever, that was an automatic top 5 finish. If there was an assault bike or a rower or some sort of a max effort ski, there would be a top 5 finish. And that top 5 finish would offset the inevitable bottom finish that would happen with something like Cindy, Mary, or maybe even event 1, which had the 1200 meter run into the 10 rounds of 4 strict handstand push-ups, 8 chest-to-bar pull-ups, and 12 air squats, which when you just look at it, it's like, yep, that's made for smaller athletes. But then you take into account the vest, which is at 20 pounds for the men, 14 for the women. It's something like 11 or 12% for the 180-pound male, and then something like 8 or 9% for the 220-pound male. And then you remember that it's relatively more weight for the smaller athlete, leveling it out a little bit, compounded with the fact that the runner at that point in particular did favor a larger athlete. Maybe you had longer strides, maybe the weight of yourself on that machine propelled it just a little bit quicker, and it just depends on how you want to look at the workouts, if you will. Sure, you could look at event number 2 as 45 ring dips at high volume and velocity, and maybe that's going to blow your pec out because you haven't trained the ring dips, because you're too much of a weightlifting, we don't do ring dips at speed and velocity athlete. But then you remember that there's athletes out there like Matt Fraser who could probably do 100 ring dips unbroken, and then also can move that 80-pound dumbbell incredibly freaking well, and that is who you are stacking up against. That same athlete, the Matt Frasers of the world, maybe don't even want to compare yourself to him, but compare him to everyone else that's in contention for that level of competition, and they will laugh at 100 unbroken air squats. And even if at this point in the weekend, or even as you're analyzing these workouts, you think that maybe it's favored towards a smaller athlete, you can argue me that way until you get to workout number 3, which in my opinion is entirely favored towards a larger athlete. Every year Fikowski wins these chippers. This one in particular is definitely favored towards him with the 130-pound wall balls, the dumbbell overhead walking lunge. The rope climbs and the double unders are a moot point, but it's a heavy dumbbell, it's a heavy wall ball, it's the high target, the rope climbs. If you're bigger, you're sometimes and usually also taller. That one's skewed that way. The next workout with the handstand walk and the toes to bar is skewed smaller. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if you want to be the best of the best, you have to be able to keep up with the other end of the spectrum. So if there are a handful of smaller athletes who are going to make their mark on that workout, you got to be able to keep up with them, which the best do every single time. And it's nothing crazy there. Just handstand walk and toes to bar with 11-minute time cap. Just do what you got to do. Event 5, skewed smaller, 45 ring muscle ups along with the dumbbell overhead squat, 80 for the men, 55 for the women. The dumbbell puts it towards the larger athlete. The ring muscle up is much favored towards the smaller athlete. And if this were 20 to 30 ring muscle ups, I would say that the larger athletes just have to do it. It's part of the game at this point. 45 ring muscle ups did put it towards the smaller athlete overall. So all of a sudden the regional is skewed towards the smaller athlete. That is until you get to the last workout, where when I led this thing off, I compared Sam Dancer to someone like Luke Schaefer, and the bigger, stronger athlete on this event finale 100% had an advantage. Destroy the assault bike, survive the burpees, and then destroy the sandbag, and you're in the CrossFit games. And only the biggest, strongest athletes could do that. There is your barbell workout. There is your power output workout. There's the one that offsets event number 4. And it's so strongly skewed in the power realm that I think it also would offset any slight skewing towards the smaller end of the spectrum that you could argue. And all of a sudden, I believe you have the best set of regional workouts over the course of any single season ever. And they got better every single year. I do like these better than 2018. And at the end of the entire thing, in the sport of fitness, there's no way around thinking that this is one of the most well-rounded and best regionals ever. And in my opinion, I think it is the best regional of all of them. Maybe because there is no barbell, but maybe because of the intention that I can see that was put into it. While there was no barbell, there was no 1-rep max, no complex for the larger athletes to just purely shine and put their mark on it. They're going to win that one no matter what. It's a throw-in. It's the throw-ins that I think are the stupidest freaking things ever. I think that the log clean and jerk at the Rogue Invitational recently was awesome. I think that the sandbag clean at the CrossFit Games was awesome, because when you have a clean and jerk, it's like, well, here are all of their lifts over the past decade. No, we're going to pick Danny Spiegel. And while she still wins, you don't really know if she's going to win. Guy Malheiros, he still wins. You can't just say, well, Guy Malheiros can clean and jerk 375 and freaking Tola Moraquinho can hit 385. So we know that Tola is going to have an advantage. And it's so short-sighted to look at a set of workouts and say, these workouts suck. CrossFit is losing it because there's no barbell. There's no set designated 1-rep max. And the reason I brought up the individual with the air squats and that competition is because some people don't even know what they're saying when they're saying it. In my head, where do you want to be? Who are the people that you're working with, against, and for? What is it that they can do? What is it that you are lacking in? And then all of a sudden the conversation is, can I do 300 air squats unbroken? Can I do 500 air squats unbroken? Is there any point to doing 500 air squats unbroken? No, but can I do it? I can do it. The entire reason that I'm making this video is one, because when I make a video like yesterday where I said CrossFit fucked up and it kind of came out of nowhere, I want to follow it with a video where I'm like, hey, CrossFit did and does often do things really good, especially before the year 2018. They did a whole lot of good, but it gives me an opportunity to say you have things that you want, or you should have things that you want. And if you don't, ask yourself what it is that you do indeed want. What is your why? The athlete in this position, they wanted to be a regional level athlete. And at which rate, I don't know why an athlete in that position, and I told this athlete every chance I got, 100 air squats is not something that you should be proud of. That's something that you should have been able to have done 4 years ago. This is something that people like Mal O'Brien at this point were doing at the age of 15. You're 10 plus years older than that. There's a 13-year-old who can do 100 air squats unbroken. Yeah, but can they clean and jerk 800 pounds? It's like, yeah, actually, they can do that too. The field has changed quite a bit, but this is where it began. This is where it started to change. The Matt Frasers of the world picked it up and ran with it. The Tia Tumis of the world picked it up and ran with it. The athletes that were specialists in the strength area, in particular with the barbells, you didn't really see them all that much anymore because that's where they made up some points, got it further into the season. A lot of them went into the team sphere of things. But the best thing that I thought about this is it really brought out the fact that this is the sport of fitness. This isn't the sport of specialty. This isn't the sport of weightlifting. There are sports for that. Go be a weightlifter. Go be a power lifter. The only qualm I had with the regionals at this point was that there were only 6 scored events. I would have liked 7. But who the hell am I to say anything about that? I'm not too big of a fan of a mistake causing you your entire weekend. This is one of those situations where when you're in the moment, I was incredibly stern on the fact where if you want to be a good CrossFitter, you have to be able to do this stuff, this many reps, look at 150 toes to bar, chest to bar, pull-ups, wall balls, and you should be able to do that in this amount of time. And if you can't, don't say, well, I'm not made for this. If it is that you want to be a athlete of this caliber. If you're going to make that excuse, no longer tell me or yourself that you want to be that level. So hats off to the year 2017. Hats off to Dave Castro and the team. And I hope that this is a learning lesson for some people who need to get better at some things in particular. Andrew Hiller, out.